Hi, I'm certified life coach Dewan J of the High Vibrations Only platform. What you're about to watch is an open coaching session that was actually filmed on TikTok. I pray that the information in the video that you're about to watch will inform, inspire, and ignite you to become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that you're abreast of all future content coming from me. I'll see you in there. Let's go. Let's talk about it. I am excited today. I'm excited today to bring part three. Yes, there have been 3 parts recorded already, but I am excited today to bring you part 3 of Trust the Transition. Trust the transition because too many of us in our lives, I appreciate you. Too many of us in our lives have gotten to a place where we've gotten to a standstill. We are running the same hamster wheel, running the same rat race over and over and over again. And all we're seeing is the same thing. And a lot of that is due to our failure to transform. And when you start to unpack where that failure comes from, where it is that we are actually getting this fear, we come to find out that a lot of people don't trust the transition. Point blank, in simple person's terms, people don't trust the transition. They're afraid of change. And in week 1, we talked about transitioning the weight. We talked about weight that belongs to you, weight that belongs to someone else, and weight that should be shared. Tammy, what's up? Welcome in. And weight that should be shared. In week 2, we talked about the 10 things that Beauty and the Beast taught us. And they taught us how to be authentically ourselves as we mastered the seasons of dating and relationships as well as friendships. And today, week 3, Empress Empowerment. What's happening? Today, week 3, we have to talk about transitioning the style. Now, when we talk about style, there are several different ways in which we can introduce ourselves to the public. We have to realize that every time we walk outside of our front door, that we are a walking advertisement for ourselves. Every time that we get out of bed, every time that we're standing in front of our children, standing in front of our girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, we are walking advertisements for ourselves. What is it that I'm getting when I'm dealing with this person? Job or HR departments at jobs will tell you that when they go to hire people, it's not based off of the qualifications. It's oftentimes based off of whether or not they can hang out with the person. Let's go, contributing to the live goal. It's oftentimes if they can hang out with the person. Is the person likable? So when we're presenting ourselves, it comes across in the way that our face is. Like, are we walking around with what are the kids saying today? RBF. Are we walking around with that? Are we walking around with a smile on our face? Do we have an enjoyable, easygoing disposition? How are we dressed? Are we well put together? Because this tells a lot about our hygiene and our discipline. It also, we can present ourselves by the energy that we are bringing to people. Now, once this happens, we have to recognize that style is very important. And we're going to get into today the difference between fashion and style. The difference between fashion and style is fashion may be the name brand that you have on. The Nike, the Gucci, the Givenchy, the Louis Vuitton, the Christian Louis Vuitton red bottoms, right? Says these are all fashion things. It doesn't matter how much Givenchy you own. It doesn't matter how many red bottoms you own. It doesn't matter how many Birkins you own in your closet if you are a crap human being. If you're a crap human being, then you are literally filling an empty suit. Oh God, what's happening? You are literally an empty suit. You are literally dressing up and masking toxic behavior, toxic qualities, toxic traits, and you are literally manipulating people into liking you just to disappoint them or hurt them later. It's important to not be one of these people. It is important for us to be 100% authentic ourselves when we're presenting ourselves to people, and that way we don't set ourselves up or set other people up for disappointment. When it comes to fashion, anybody can dress up. With the right amount of money, I can go to Saks and Fifth. With the right amount of money, I could shop at a high-end store. With the right amount of money, I can have my suits tailored and imported from Italy itself. But what value am I adding to my life? And while I might look valuable, am I adding value? And this is why we have to transition from fashion to style. There was a young lady once who was working in an office building, and she picked out a cute dress because she had a Tinder date at like 5 p.m. Right? She puts out this dress that was office appropriate, but also date acceptable, especially, in the early phases of the relationship. And she recognized that she had to go to the bathroom. So she tries to get up and she couldn't. She couldn't stand. And she started to look around for the source of her being stuck. And what ended up happening was that her dress had gotten caught in the risable chair. Her dress had gotten caught in the gears mechanisms that make the chair rise and fall. So she sends an email to a friend, and she sees her friend across the office laughing at her. And after she finally finished laughing, she comes across the office and she tries to help, and she tries to pull and tear, but she didn't want to ruin the dress because she had the date at 5 p.m. Neither one of them can get the dress out. So this young lady rolls herself across the office in front of her coworkers and everything into a janitorial closet where she shimmied out of the dress, stood there, and then she was able to free the dress with minimal tears. Upon this happening, this entire episode, it sat her behind on work. So she had to finish all of her work, and she had to text the guy that she was getting ready to go on a date with and tell him simply the truth. There was no lie that would have covered exactly what had happened. She had to tell him, hey, I got my dress stuck in a chair and I couldn't get up, and someone had to help me. There are a couple points that I'd like to pull from this story. When it comes to us and our fashion and how we deal with ourselves, there's a couple points that I'd like to pull out. Point number one, put this in a point. Functionality should be the focus. Functionality should be the focus in today's society, especially across social media. Right? A lot of people dress up. There are very few people who present themselves comfortable on social media. Right. You have the TikTok influencers who come on live in the sports bra and the short shorts saying, I'm just home for today. But truth of the matter is they're self-conscious. But they're doing it for the gifts and the likes. They're doing it for the external validation. They're doing it so some thirsty person could go inside of their room and tell them that they look nice for the day. You have men that are going on lives with no shirt on, looking for the external validation, looking for the compliments about how the muscles are bulging, this, that, and the third. You have people who come on and present themselves as safe spaces for people because mental health is the way in. Wow, what's happening? Welcome in. Twisted Kitty, what's happening? Welcome in. You have people presenting themselves as safe spaces, but these are the very most toxic people. It's crazy how people dress themselves up to get what it is that they want, but people are being hurt in the process. Functionality has to be the key. How are you presenting yourself? How are you styling yourself today? It should be functional. The funny thing about this is, Jamil, what's happening? The funny thing about it is that I grew up going to a Pentecostal church, right? And for those of y'all who know, y'all know Pentecostal people be in church from like 6:30 a.m. until like 6 p.m. Right. And all of this stuff is going on, and all these people are shouting, and the women are falling out. They're rolling under benches. They're doing all of these things. And you're trying to figure out, I put on a suit for this. Why? I put on a dress for this. Why? The outfit or how it was presented or how I present myself wasn't functional for what was happening in that establishment. How I was presenting myself or the way that I dressed to go there, 40, Star, what's happening? Welcome in. The way that I was presenting myself wasn't functional for shouting. It wasn't functional for dancing. It wasn't functional in an element. And we find ourselves much like this young lady. Because she wanted to look cute later on, she ended up putting the cart before the horse. She ended up counting, well, I don't even know what that Southern expression is. She ended up counting her eggs before they came out, or counting their chickens before they roosted, or whatever that Southern expression is. Let's go, contributing to the live goal. She was already looking past what she had to do to what she wanted to do. And here's where we have to pause and remind ourselves. Here's what we have to do to remind ourselves. We have to live in the moment. Don't count your eggs before they hatch. That's the one. That's the one I wanted. Thanks. So what ends up happening is when we decide to skip the step, when we decide to skip the step in which we are supposed to work, when we decide to skip the healing and jump into another relationship, when we decide to trauma bond with someone instead of exercising a proper vetting process, when we decide to hop from bed to bed to bed to bed to bed, looking for something or someone to fill up the hole that was left in our hearts by our true love, we are putting the cart before the horse. Every kiss begins with Kate. What's happening? Welcome in. Noble Queen, what's up? Welcome in. We are putting the cart before the horse. Catalyst, what's up, my guy? And any time that we put the cart before the horse, we end up setting ourselves up for disappointment. You wonder why the cycle of heartbreak is constant. You wonder why the cycle of disappointment is constant. You wonder why the cycle of being rejected is constant. You wonder why you constantly feel as if you were not enough, or if you're not going to be validated, or if you're not qualified enough. It's because we are already looking to the end goal and skipping the fact that we have to work. This lady she got dressed at 7 o'clock in the morning. She had an entire 8-hour shift that she had to navigate prior to her getting to the date. While I appreciate the attempt to save steps, don't forget that we have to work. This lady actually cost herself more. 1, she made a bad impression. 2, she made a fool out of herself in front of the office, and she's probably going to be laughed at for a couple of days. 3, she was late for the date. And 4, she ruined a perfectly good dress. And this is what happens when we try and dress ourselves up to be better than what we are. This is what happens when we attempt to come on social media and cap. This is what it looks like when we become fake activists. This is what it looks like when we pretend to care about the issue, pretend to love God, pretend to have a purpose, pretend to add value to other people. As soon as it's going to be found out, and the whole outfit is going to be ruined. We have to transition the style. The second point I want to pull from this story is that after gently tugging, she realized that that the dress, or the skirt of the dress, was caught inside of this metal chair. And after a little more tugging, she realized that it wasn't going to become undone. And now she is in a desperate situation. It's oftentimes here where people want to do the work. It's oftentimes here when you ignore the voice of God, you ignore the Holy Spirit, you ignore your intuition, you ignore the very warning signs, the red flags of a potential situation or person, that now you want to do some work. Now you're in a situation that you weren't necessarily prepared to be in. Now you're in a situation in which you could potentially cost yourself everything. Put this in a point. Your attire can lead to your affliction. In other words, the way that I present myself is it's what people are going to expect of me. If I present myself as a highly intelligent, highly effective, highly successful individual, people are going to look to me for advice. If I present myself as compassionate, people are going to look to me for advice. If I present myself as a 304, people are going to look to me for sex. Had a conversation in one of my earlier lives when we were talking about how perception, it should not be reality, but it's oftentimes the case. The energy that you emit is going to be the same energy to expect. Put that in a point. Put this in a point. Expect the same energy that you emit. What am I talking about? I'm talking about you fitness influencers that want to post pictures of your fitness journey in your sports bra and your yoga pants. I'm talking about you complaining about all the eyes on you at the gym when you have one cheek, not this one, hanging out. I'm talking about you're speaking and behaving a certain way when you're hanging out with your friends. And then when someone brings energy to you, matching you on the level that you just displayed, you get upset and you're offended. Miss Mims is in the building. Lexi, what's happening? Congratulations on the level up. We put out this energy like I'm a loving, caring, compassionate person, but in the same breath, I'm not a people person. We put out, let's go, contributing to the live goal. We put out that I'm a safe space and I'm very knowledgeable in this, but I don't want to answer any questions. Truth of the matter is we cap and we know just enough stuff to be dangerous. We cap and we know, or we put out just enough stuff to be dangerous because there's no full follow through. There is no working knowledge. K contributing to the live goal. Let's go. There's no working knowledge of what's happening. There's no working knowledge of the very thing that I'm presenting, but because I want to be like everybody else, because the dopamine levels rise when the hearts go up the screen, because I get told that I'm beautiful, because people are sliding into my DM saying grand rising queen. The dopamine is what I'm addicted to. And this causes me to do things that are outside of my character. This causes me to do things that are outside of my core beliefs. This causes me to do things that are against my religion. This causes me to do things that my family wouldn't be proud of. I step outside of who I am. I step outside of what I believe in. I step outside of my own boundaries. And we talked about it. We talked about it a couple days ago. Boundaries are barriers. What's it going to be? The boundary is to say, hey, I'm supposed to be treated this way. And the barrier actually barricades you in. And here's the problem that we have especially on social media, but in real life as well. We camouflage ourselves to be like something that we want to be and that we're not. We don't have a good working knowledge of what is actually happening. And as a result of that, I am pigeonholed into a corner. Every time I go into a live, I'm expected to take my shirt off. Every time I go into a live, people are expecting me to talk spicy. Every time that I post a pic online, I don't get as many likes as my gym progress photo. How is it that I'm here, I'm showing gym progress? It was a shoulder day at the gym, but the only thing that we can see are your other assets. How is it that you call yourself a guru, you call yourself minister, you call yourself pastor, you call yourself a doctor, you call yourself an advocate for something, and you perpetuate the very poison that you claim to stand against? Okay. I'm getting fired up. I'm trying to talk to you today. But the way that you present yourself, could lead you to affliction. I can't tell you how many times that somebody has to take a mental health break off of social media because they painted themselves wrong. They've literally painted themselves wrong. They've literally painted an outfit on themselves that does not fit them. They are good people, good character people, but they're hanging out in the wrong rooms. We've got queens that are being mistaken for common people. We've got common people that are mistaking themselves for beggars. Why? Because this is what's hot in the streets. This is what the people want from me, so this is what I'm going to give the people. But if you're constantly finding yourself giving the people what they want, who are you really? Can you call yourself solid? Can you say that you keep it 100 when other people's opinion dictates the way that you act? It makes no sense that I stay in a $22,000 duplex. I drive a $63,000 car and my wardrobe costs me $1,500 a month. The math ain't mathing. But I got to get them J's though, D. I'm decked out in Givenchy though, D. Oh my God, I saw the cutest red bottoms. What sense does this make? And this is what happens when we chase fashion and not style. People that can dress can get the same outfit at a thrift store, put it together, and it looks like a $500 outfit. People with style, it doesn't matter where they get the clothes from. You can get the clothes from the Goodwill. It can be secondhand. It can be a donation. It can be wherever it is. When you're focused on style more so than fashion, you are 100% completely yourself, because this shirt might cost 50 cents and these pants might cost me $2 and the sneakers might be $10, but ain't nobody going to put it together the way that I put it together. I'm going to express my individuality because I'm more focused on presenting a clean image. I'm more focused on presenting a hardworking image. I'm more concerned with expressing things that are more in common with my character than I am with culture. Meg and Beyonce got y'all out here buying $500 bags and you can't pay your light bill. Stop it. These rappers got you out here buying $10,000 chains, but you owe Sally Mae $15,000. Stop it. Rap culture got you spending your tax money. Let me just leave that alone. Because we're chasing fashion. I had a homeboy who had a Kirby said, do it. I had a homeboy who came to me one day, and Kanye had just dropped like a t-shirt, right? And the t-shirt was about this color, and the t-shirt was full of holes. And when I asked him, my man said he paid $150 for the t-shirt. And I was like, bro, I could have did this for free. Give me the $150. Because he was chasing fashion. He was chasing a name. He was chasing what he thought was going to make him popular. He was chasing what culture wanted him to chase. And as a result of him chasing culture, he lost his cause. He lost his cause. Kiara, what's happening? Welcome in. He was chasing culture and he lost his cause. What would have been more beneficial would have been the new tire that he needed on his car. What would have been more beneficial would have been taking his son to an amusement park. What would have been more beneficial would have been anything more productive than what he did. But because he wanted to keep up, he wanted to keep up with culture. He wanted to keep up with what was popular. He lost his cause. And here's where we find people who don't enjoy their job, because at what once was an enjoyable experience, they were once living to go to work, and now they're working to live. They're working to keep up with the lifestyle that they've capped about on social media. They're working to keep up with the lifestyle that they've lied about to their family members and friends. They're working to keep up with the lifestyle like they have it all together, when truth of the matter is, even though my Jordans are clean and I paid $260 for it, I really got a last notice on my light bill. This is what happens when you chase fashion and not style. Let me move. So she sends an email. She sends an email to a friend, and she sees her friend across the room laughing. And it's here that I have to ask you, what's the style of your community? What's the behavioral style of your community? Put this in a point. Friends find it funny when your future is effed up. What do I mean? I mean that they don't necessarily have their life together. Hey, contributing to the live goal. They don't necessarily have their life together. But as long as your life is more messed up than theirs, they don't feel as bad about their own life. So they stick around. You're in a desperate situation over here. You have time invested. You have sweat invested. You have plans for your life. And when you get into a situation in which you are literally stuck, she finds it funny. He finds it funny. When I say funny, I mean funny in both senses. I mean funny in a sense of ha funny, this is funny, this could happen to you. But also funny as in weird. As in when I needed you, you acted weird. When I called you for some emotional support, you acted weird. When I called you because I was in a jam and I needed somebody to talk to, you acted weird. But when your wife kicked you out your house, you could sleep on my couch. But when the dudes around the corner was getting ready to beat you up for your gambling debt, who'd you? Okay. Rowdy. It's very important that once you set your support system in place, that you have to get friends and family around you that are not going to laugh when you're in a messed up situation. It's important that your community is solid. It's important that the foundation that you set, the rules of engagement that you set with the people that are around you are going to be one of support, one of accountability, one of purpose, one that wants to see you get to where it is that you have to get. A true friend would have looked at her and said, girl, don't mess up your dress. I got you. Girl, I know that you paid some money and you're really excited about where you're going after this. Let me help you. How can I boost you? Too many of us today are in a crab in a barrel situation where you see somebody rise and you decide to pull them back down because you're not ready to rise yet. Too many of us are surrounded by toxic people that would prefer to act passively aggressively because they can keep an eye and keep a tab on you to make sure that you eat just not better than them. Too many of us are in a place and in a position where when the minute we start to win, people start acting different. The minute that I get the promotion, people are acting weird. The minute that I buy a house, people are acting different. The minute that I start to focus on my purpose, no, I can't behave like this any longer. It is not fruitful for my future. I'm not going to be doing this anymore. Now they're saying that you're acting funny, or they start to throw slights at you. Oh, you think you're better than us? Oh, you wasn't saying this 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but I'm saying it today. You wasn't saying this the last month, but I'm saying it today. What happened to you? You used to be fun and now you're just boring. Well, if checking off lists on my vision board is boring to you, then perhaps you're not equipped to come with me on this portion of my journey. If me reaching purpose, me reaching peace, me reaching happiness, me fixing my marriage, me getting over the abortion, me getting over the fact that I was adopted. If this is boring to you, excuse yourself. In fact, I'll show you the door. What is the style of behavior amongst your tribe? What is the style of behavior amongst the people that you call family? We have to begin to transition this into one that is going to be supportive. If you have friends, family members that don't believe in your dream, it should never leave their mouth. Should there be pushback? Yes. Should there be conversations? Sure. But the fact that you cannot do something should never leave that person's mouth. Those people's mouths. Because the minute that we get to a place, I don't care if you don't believe that I can never be a best-selling author. If it ever leaves your mouth, you're out of my life. I don't care if you believe them up or don't believe that my podcasts are ever going to take off. If it ever leaves your mouth, you're done. It doesn't matter to me that you have reservations. And I appreciate the fact that you're concerned about my feelings. I appreciate the fact that you're concerned about me getting hurt because you've seen it happen before. I appreciate this. But the minute that you tell me that I can't do something, the last thing that you're ever going to hear me say is watch me. We have to transition the style. Everything and everybody that comes into your life should be something pointing to or serving your vision. This is not self-centered. This is self-focused. This is not egotistical. This is efficient. This is not an emotionally charged. This is the best thing that I can do for my health. Whose opinion do you value more? The person that you have to look at several times a day, every reflection, every mirror, every window, every body of water. You're looking at your reflection every day versus somebody who you've lived 10, 20, 25, 30 years without knowing. Whose voice do you value more? The voice of your homeboy who you've known for 30 years, or the voice of God who's taken care of you for 30 years? What do you value more? Public perception or purpose? I don't mind being talked about for pursuing purpose. I don't mind being stabbed in the back for pursuing purpose. I don't mind being gossiped about for pursuing purpose. I don't mind being the bad guy or the black sheep of the family for pursuing purpose. But the truth of the matter is that if the words you can't leave your mouth, you have to leave my life. You cannot believe. Just don't ever let me know it. So she wheels past her coworkers across the room, and she gets to this janitorial closet where she has to shimmy. She has to shimmy out of the dress. Jelena, what's happening? Welcome in. She has to shimmy out of the dress in the janitor's closet, and then she begins to pull the dress. She gets it out with a little tear before she has to put it back on and then finish her work. And then she can go on a date. Put this in a point. When I overlook responsibilities, I can only reap radical consequences. When I overlook responsibilities, I can only reap radical consequences. What am I saying? I'm saying that had she had some functionality, had some logic, had some planning, she probably would have taken the dress on a hanger, hung it up behind her desk, wore something more functional, and then she wouldn't have been late. She wouldn't have been pushed back. We have to understand that pauses in pursuing purpose oftentimes comes when our practicality, when our perception, when our perspective, when other people's opinions are put above purpose. What is your job? What is sustaining your life? What's driving your life? How are you providing for those that you're responsible for? How is it that we overlook these things? I overlook these things, and now what happens? Now I'm behind on what it was that I was supposed to do. Now I'm rushing. This is how a lot of us treat purpose. This is how a lot of us treat God. This is how a lot of us treat the universe, whatever your belief system is. Here's how a lot of us treat that. We go and we have our fun. We go and we plan for our fun. There's a girls' trip coming up next year. You've got your flight, your reservations all ready, and you still have a year to go, and now you're just shopping. What about that book you were supposed to write? Did you put a paragraph down? What about that podcast you were supposed to start? Did you buy some equipment? What about that degree that you've been swearing that you were going to finish for the last decade? When Junior gets out of the house, I'm going to go back to school. Junior's about to have a degree before you. But when it comes time to do something that's pleasurable, girl, let me get these girls on the phone. I'm about to, no, you bring the drinks, you bring the chips. We're going to all go get outfits. Let's go get Manny Petties together. Let's have a strategy meeting over mimosas. But why not have a strategy meeting about your purpose? Why not have a strategy meeting about paying off your debt and starting the business so that you're on nobody else's clock? What about having a strategy Bible study? What about having something that's going to be productive and conducive to your future? Because we're concerned about high fashion and not necessarily high style. So she ends up being late for the date, and she has no choice. She has no choice but to admit that she was late because she had things that she hadn't finished. And then she had to tell the story. Those that are intending to see you, those that want you to be a part of their lives, those that want to be a part of your life will always understand. But at what price? At what cost? Those that want you will wait and find level ground to meet you exactly where you are. It's amazing. I found a stat as I was reading and preparing. I found a stat. I'm going to read off the top 10 fashion designers and their earnings from last year. Nike, $30 billion. Zara, $11 billion. Louis Vuitton, $26.7 billion. Adidas, $13.4 billion. Gucci, $15 billion. H&M, $9 billion. ASOS, $3 billion. Dior, $2 billion. Burberry, $5 billion. Prada, $7 billion. I brought that up to say, and these are all billions with a B. We invest. We'll go give Nike all of our money. We'll go give Adidas all of our time. We'll go give Dior and Prada all of our time. We like walking through the stores. But look at your budget for clothes versus looking at your budget that's going to do something to edify you. Doing something, learning a skill, taking a class, going back to school, tuition assistance, paying off debt, being a good steward of your life. An interesting stat is that 14% of the population accounts for 73% of the retail economy. Because we're concerned with fashion. These people could have come together, pooled some money, and bought stock. And then when they buy the money, when they buy the product, they're actually paying themselves. They're actually contributing to their own dividends. But nobody's thinking like that because we're focused on fashion. And the truth of the matter is when it comes down to it, because we don't invest in ourselves, we're constantly having to buy clothes because we're constantly covering ourselves up. Did you hear what I just... Okay. Did you hear what I just said? We're constantly buying clothes to cover up things that can be exposed from us. We're constantly putting on hoodies, constantly putting on sweatpants, constantly buying jeans, constantly buying things to cover up what the public deems as ugly. What the public deems as unacceptable. What the public deems as inappropriate. We're constantly doing this, but the truth of the matter is that when you expose yourself, it's free. I don't have to be worried about fashion. I don't have to worry about what the latest trend is. I don't have to worry about what the latest logo is. I don't have to worry about what the rappers are going to tell me, because to expose myself is free. To live in my truth is free. We're covering up anxiety, covering up depression, covering up regret, covering up shame, covering up anger, covering up sadness. So we're constantly investing, putting money in other people's pockets. We're constantly putting money in the retail store's pockets. We're constantly spending money on fashion to cover up something that shouldn't have been there in the first place. Oh my, okay, all right, okay. It shouldn't have been there it wasn't meant for us to be this way. It wasn't meant for us to spend the majority of our time giving away money. The truth of the matter is that we're slaves to high fashion. Okay. Let me prove it. You go to work 40, 60, 70, 90 hours a week. You go to work 120 hours a week. You get a check from Paul. But Paul is friends with Jose, and you take the money from Paul, cash it, and then give it to Jose, who goes out for drinks with Paul. The reason that there's such a disparity between the high fashion and the no fashion, the reason that there is such a gap is because he's not only making his own money, but the way that he makes money is by separating you from yours. In other words, society, life, people in general, there's people out here that legit don't want to see you walk in purpose. There's friends of yours. They're on your contact list. If this was MySpace, they'd be in your top 8. That genuinely don't want to see you reach purpose. They genuinely don't want to see you get to where it is that you have to get. So they blind you by feeding you alcohol. They blind you by feeding you drugs. They blind you by taking you to clubs. They blind you by faking like they're your friends. They blind you by playing like they love for you. So they take away your vision first. Without vision, the people perish. Without vision, there's no discernment. Without vision, there's no way to facilitate who is who and what is what. So you get blinded. And then the next step in this process is to begin to separate you from the things that make you you. You've been in a dead-end marriage for 10 years. You haven't left because you don't know who you are anymore, and you can't even figure out if you're still enjoying yourself. You've been in a long-term relationship for the last 4 years. You'd like to be married, but there's no ring in sight. You've been getting passed over for the promotion for the last 15 years. Oh, 5 more years and they'll give me a watch and I'll get a pension. The things that you invest inside of high fashion are time, talent, and treasure. Time, talent, and treasure. Some of us are literally paying for friends. They only call you to go out to dinner with you because they know that you're going to pick up the tab for everybody because you're grateful to be in their presence. Vic, what's happening, my guy? They only call you to hang out with you because they know that you're going to pick up the drink tab. They only call you to hang out with you because they know that you're good for a laugh, and it's oftentimes at your own expense. These people are not your friends. The situations that you find yourself in aren't beneficial. Girl, I want you to know that this man called me at 10 o'clock last night. Did you go over there? Yeah, girl, I went. Was it good? Yeah, and now you're spending more time on the phone talking to your friends about the experience that you had. But the problem is that the emphasis of the conversation is about the sex that you had more so than about the future that you can build with this individual. We spend an hour and a half talking about the experience. How was it? What was on the playlist? He played the Donnell Jones, girl. What was he wearing when I showed up? What's his favorite color? What does he enjoy? What type of retirement system does he have up? See, what has to happen here? What has to happen here is that I have to begin to use discernment. I have to begin to not allow people to put a splinter or a plank in my eye so that I can see what's going on around me. Because now I can assess my boundaries. Now I can assess what's good for me. Now I can assess where this person belongs in my life, if they belong at all. But this is not what happens. Because we're so concerned with fashion, because we want to identify with culture, because we want to identify with what Beyonce and Meg Thee Stallion said, I'm going to continue to pick up these "what are you doing" texts. I'm going to continue taking these walks of shame. I'm going to continue regretting the decision the next day. I'm going to continue figuring out or trying to figure out why nobody wants to love me. When the truth of the matter is that you haven't made anybody invest in anything. You haven't set any boundaries. You haven't dated with a purpose. You haven't dated with an agenda. You haven't dated with anything other than your flesh as a trauma response. That's nasty. Trauma has me constantly buying clothes to cover up what should be exposed. Put that in a point. Trauma has you constantly buying clothes to cover up what should be exposed. That's Bible. That's Bible. Genesis 3. They ate the fruit. God came down. Adam, where are you? Oh, I went and hid myself over there because I was naked. Wait, who told you? It didn't say that he wasn't. He said, who told him? So from the very beginning of time, we were always supposed to operate being hot. We were supposed to operate humble, open, and transparent. But because culture doesn't accept it, but because my friends might not accept me, because it's not deemed appropriate in certain situations, because I'd rather people please than chase purpose, I'm constantly covering something up. I'm constantly dimming down a piece of my light. I am constantly putting a portion of myself under a rock. I am constantly playing dumber than what I actually am. I am constantly turning the other cheek. I am constantly the butt end of the jokes. I am constantly being stabbed in the back. Constantly. And the reason that this happens is because I'd rather look fashionable than to focus on my future. I'd rather people please than to pursue purpose. I'd rather the external validation than to realize my vision. We have to change our style of thinking. What's the difference? What's the difference? Well, I'm glad that you asked me that question. Let's go with the crown. I'm glad that you asked. By definition, style, a distinct appearance, typically determined by the principles according to which something is designed. A distinct appearance. Distinct means it's set apart. Okay, let's park right there for a second. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but you were not made to fit in. The reason that you can't find a family or a friend group is because you were not created to fit in, because you've got style. Anytime that you get rejected by a group of people, anytime that you get rejected by a mob, anytime that you get rejected by a fake TikTok family, you should be rejoicing, because it means and it confirms the fact that you're set apart. And it means that you got style, because the style is distinctive. You don't act like anybody in this family. Thank God, because I'm looking at 4 womanizers, an ex-con, because I have style. I'm set apart. I'm distinctive. And this is the problem with fashion. When I chase fashion, or when I chase what's fashionable, when I chase the fad, what happens is that I could be at the happening spot. BM is in the building. What's happening? I'm at a happening spot. Right? And I can see 3 people with the same shirt that I have on. What's setting us apart? I hear you. So what, Dewan? So what, Dewan? He got the same shirt on. It ain't, he got good taste. Ha ha, twins, you got good taste. That's until you get thrown under a blanket. All women that look like this are toxic. All black men are trash. Now all of a sudden, now the distinctions come back. Now there's a need to differentiate. Now the taste that was good ain't so good anymore, is it? All men are trash. What? Man, take this shirt off of me. All women that wear this perfume are trash. What? I don't even want this scent no more, girl. It's cool when they got good taste, and it's cool to chase a fad. There's a snake in my boot. And it's cool to chase a fad until you become a victim of the blanket that you're trying to be under. Here's the crazy thing about that is, and when we're focused on fashion and not style, we put ourselves under the very same blanket that we're attempting to fight. Oh my God. The reason that this blanket is on your bed, the reason that your bed is made this way is because you bought the sheets and you bought the comforter. Why? Because you saw it in a magazine? Why? Because you saw it on social media? Because you were scrolling TikTok and a Home Goods ad came across and you liked the way that the carpet and the drapes matched? So I go out and get the very same thing, knowing that this is not my fit. Knowing that my interior decorating skills are better than this. Knowing that it doesn't quite say me. Some of us take it even a step further. We try and force the fit. We try and force the fit. We'll go to a place and they won't have the size bed that we currently sleep in, so we'll buy a size bigger or a size smaller. Okay, let me not. We'll talk about that on Monday. We'll talk about that on Monday. Finding your fit. We'll talk about it on Monday. But what I'm saying is that when we chase fashion, that Kirby said now. I'm just saying. So what happens is that we get to a place where we're so desperate to fit in. We're so desperate for external validation. We're so desperate for friends. We're so desperate to be loved that the very same blanket, because I bought it too small, because I'm trying to put my personality, my charisma, my smile, the amount of love that I have into a bed that doesn't have the capacity to hold it. What I'm actually doing is I'm actually shrinking myself to fit in here. And this is why we're always at odds, because I'm not fulfilled. This is why we always have a problem, because there's secret envy, because other people see who you are and you don't even see who you are. Why? Because I've shrunken myself to fit in here. This is why something just doesn't click right, Dwan. Something it just doesn't meet up. I just don't get it. The truth is that you're too big to swim in that pond. You're too big for the kiddie pool. Truth of the matter is, they'd rather take girls' trips and cheat on their husbands and get drunk and talk about how fun it was. They'd rather talk about what drama is going on 2 lives over. They'd rather focus on what's happening on TikTok. They'd rather talk about who's doing what and why and when and where. But by the time they finish spilling the tea, there's no time left to talk about anything else. There's no time left to figure out how to not become that way. There's no time left to figure out how is it that we're supposed to strategize and make it to the next level. You're busy trying to have tea when you should be drinking coffee. You're too busy having tea when a milkshake will be better. You're too busy at happy hour. It's all fun and games. Hey, it happens. But here's what I'm saying. When it comes down to that, right? For those of y'all that are going to see this later, she said it's all fun and games until the cheating with your husband. But this is what happens. This is the setup. The truth of the matter is that you opened the door. Let me prove it. You know that Keisha is known to cheat on her husband, and you tolerate it. You laugh at it. You hang out at happy hour. You guys have little inside jokes. Boudreaux. More. You have little inside jokes, little code words. Y'all created an entire language around your homegirl's infidelity. What should this tell you? That she has the propensity for infidelity and that she is no respecter of marriages. But she's in your house. You know that she has to be the center of attention. So when she comes over to pick you up, she may have noticed the bicep of your man. So now she got like a tank top and the Daisy Dukes on. It's 60 degrees outside. You walking around with shorts that barely cover the cheeks. You open this door. Why? Because it's more fashionable to be her friend than to be separate and have your style seen. It's more fashionable to be her friend than to be separate and have your style seen. You'd prefer. Let me leave y'all alone. Let me leave y'all alone. What's in season? What's in season? Here's the problem with fashion. It's always moving. It's always moving. You can't fixate on one thing. This is problematic because while you should always be growing, growth is a state of becoming a better or a bigger version of yourself. And something that changes is something that transforms itself into something completely different. So if my focus changes, was it really a vision or was it a fad? Was it a phase? Is it something that I can consistently aim at? Is it something that I can consistently check off? Is it something that I can consistently go back to? Something that's going to keep me anchored in doing the right thing? Or is it something that's going to fade away in 5 minutes? Is it something that I'm not even going to be interested in 5 months? This was cool now, and now we're doing this. Was it something that you can be fixated on? Because I teach from this platform all the time, you have to set the vision far out. And your vision is going to be your anchor. It's going to be your path. It's like the yellow lines on the road. Now, I might have to pass some cars. I might have to swerve lanes, right? Because somebody's going slower or somebody's going too fast for me. So I may have to switch the other lane. But I'm still headed in the same direction. Or is it they put a detour sign up here I wasn't planning for the detour. I wasn't planning on getting pregnant before college. TBG is in the building. What's happening? Those of y'all that are watching this that are looking to connect with family, pick up my guy TBG. When the detour comes, I wasn't planning on getting pregnant before college. I wasn't planning on being sexually assaulted. I wasn't planning on having my family doubt my dreams. I wasn't planning on not having friends support what it is. Thank you for the high bears. I wasn't planning on some of these things, some of these traumas that have been placed before me. I wasn't planning on it. But what do you do with the detour? If there's no end goal, if there's no destination in sight, or if your destination is always moving, you find yourself lost. You find yourself with the GPS lady talking to you, recalculating, and it sounds silly, but this is what a lot of our lives are like. Every 6 months, we're recalculating what it is that we want to do. Every 6 months, we're recalculating what school we're going to go to. Every 6 months, we're recalculating our relationship. Everybody we come in contact with is the one. Why? Because we don't have our eyes fixed. We don't have a destination in mind. We don't have a place in mind where we're going to keep us anchored on the same road that we're supposed to be on. When you're not focused on your assignment, when you're not aligned with your assignment, you're angling yourself towards anger. Put that in a point. When I'm not aligned with my assignment, I am angling myself towards anger. Why? Because I don't get where it is that I'm supposed to go. I take everybody else's advice. I actually listen when people doubt my dreams. I actually listen when people don't believe the vision. I actually pay attention when people are dismissing what it is that I'm working towards. I actually pay attention to people that's supposed to support me, and they tell me I can't do it. I start to listen, and as a result of that, I'm constantly recalculating. Listen to how crazy this sounds. I'm going to be a doctor. Girl, you can't be no doctor. Do you know how much writing and reading that is? Yeah, you're right. Let me just knock it down. I'm going to be an EMT. Girl, do you want to be getting all of them calls, seeing all of them gruesome sights and responding to all of this? Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm going to be a nursing assistant. Girl, you want to be changing the diapers of all these old people? Yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll be a medical coder or administrator. You got time to fill out all that paperwork? You're constantly recalculating, but the danger in not having a big dream, the danger in not focusing on what it is that you actually want to do, every time you recalculate, you're knocking yourself down. Oh my God. The shallow water is not safer. The shallow water is not safer. So why not swim where it's deep? It doesn't matter where a swimmer is swimming to a swimmer. If you know that you were destined to be a swimmer, it doesn't matter if you put me in the ocean. I can swim. It doesn't matter if you put me in the 12-foot. I can swim. It doesn't matter if you put me in the 3-foot. I can swim. I can play. But I refuse to allow you to talk me from the ocean all the way down to a kiddie pool because it's more fashionable, because it's more feasible. If my dreams don't scare me, then they're not big enough. If what you're chasing doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. If what you're chasing can be done without God, then it's not big enough. It's not. You were destined for more. You're better than what you're giving yourself credit for. You are stronger than what you're giving yourself credit for. You are more resilient than you're giving yourself credit for. But instead of walking in purpose, instead of walking into every room and every situation as if God himself sent you there, you take the back road. Instead of walking into every situation with the intent to rule, subdue, and dominate everything that you touch, instead of walking in with that kind of authority, you walk in as quiet as a mouse. You walk in like an ant. You walk in because you don't want to make any waves. You walk in because you don't want to buck the system. You walk in because you're comfortable in the status quo, because you're more comfortable in fashion than you are pursuing future. Okay. All right. I feel that thing. I feel that right there. And here's the heartbreak from a lot of people. A lot of people wake up on Monday and they strongly dislike their jobs because they're not walking in purpose. They just got something that made sense. A lot of people strongly dislike where they live because they got something that seemed feasible, with no plan, with no strategy to elevate, with no vision to elevate. A lot of people are upset when they wake up in the morning because they don't wake up on purpose, with a purpose, and for a purpose. And they don't go aggressively attack the day. They don't grab life by the horns. They rather their day be dictated to them by their homegirls. They're getting dressed and they're filming their get ready with me content, but I seen the same outfit 3 videos in a row. Okay, y'all don't want to talk about this. Y'all don't want to talk about this. We're so addicted to fashion and so addicted to facing what's comfortable that we've allowed culture and people who we've gotten to be our role models to talk us into the fact that the corny dude with the office job and the 401k is going to be boring, and the dude who you have to visit behind glass. Okay, all right. We've allowed culture, fellas, to put us out of position. We claim we want a submissive woman, but we haven't done the research to figure out what that actually means and what that means for us. We claim to want somebody to meet us in effort, but we don't know what putting in effort looks like. We claim we want somebody emotionally stable, but you can't regulate your own emotions. You claim... Ooh, I feel this thing right here. We are so accustomed to fashion. Instead of being authentically ourselves, instead of being distinct, instead of setting up the style that's going to allow us to be 100% ourselves, we rob everybody around us every time we submit our will to fashion. We're walking around brands, people we don't know. We're walking around brands because they built a bigger name. Had a homeboy one time, and back in the day, long time ago, right? We're talking. Actually, he comes into my lives like sometimes now. We partied it up. We both lived in DC. We were both, goddess of love. What's happening? We did the thing. Anybody who's ever been to DC and partied down around the Adams Morgan area, we can tell you, like we get it in down there, right? So, but every weekend, we'd go get a different outfit to hit the club, to hit the bars, to go dance. Every weekend, it was something different, right? Never got caught in the same outfit twice. She said, "Oh yeah, oh no, we were not. We valued our bodies." Surely you jest, or you must have me confused with somebody else. But every weekend we was going to do stuff. But you'll see what's happening. And what happened was, what we found out was every 6 months we had to give away clothes because the closet couldn't contain it. And I said that, and I told that story. I told that story because that closet, when we had to clean it out, is like a lot of our hearts. It's like a lot of our minds. We fill it with so much nonsense because we're always chasing something new. Ashley, thank you for the follow. We fill it with so much nonsense because we're constantly trying to stay on brand. We fill it with so much nonsense because we're constantly trying to stay with what's cool or what's hot in the streets. We fill it, and ultimately we just end up empty. We wear it one time. We try it on for size, but then we stock it in there and it's just taking up space. So I ask you today, how many of your past experiences are just in your closet taking up space? How many shirts have you bought attempting to cover up the hole in your heart? How many pairs of pants have you bought as a result of trying to cover up your body count? How many hats have you bought attempting to cover up the thoughts that are in your head? Y'all know the ones: the anxiety, the depression, the suicidal ideations, the jealousy, the envy, the insecurity. We're constantly buying things to stay on brand, to look like everybody else. But the truth of the matter is, I'm dying. She said this purses count. How many bags have you bought to put friends in that you care about more their success than they do? How many bags have you bought for you to put family members in that care more about being of the culture than you do? And as a result, you're having to put them in your bag and carry them with you. And you're attempting to drag it. See, here's what happens. When it comes down to it, let me see what I got over here. When it comes down to it is, here's what happens when we have toxic people around us. I care more about your marriage than you care about your marriage. So I'm gonna take this. I care more about your financial future than you do. I'm going to hold this. I care more about you graduating from college than you do. Let me hold this. I care more about your children's well-being than you do. Hold this. I care more about your grades than you do. I care more about, and this is what we look like. So finally, you get the bright idea. Hey, I don't have strong enough boundaries. I need to start saying no to some people. I need to sit this down. But because I'm a people pleaser, I can't say no, and I'm going to continue helping the people that I've been helping the entire time. Somebody comes along with the opportunity of a lifetime, and all you have to do is shake their hand or write your name on a piece of paper. But hey, how you doing? So you get the bright idea. I'm gonna get a purse for this. Okay, you empty your hands. But because we don't change the pattern, and because we don't want to let these people go, because we're afraid to live life by our own style, we're so fashioned to be fashionable, to be around other people, that we can't, and we just start the pattern all over again. But the beautiful thing about the things that we're carrying in our bags, it could all be dropped. Anytime that we choose to change the pattern, anytime that we stop chasing fashion and start chasing style. Anytime that we're unafraid to be alone. Anytime that we're supposed to have a me era. Anytime that we're supposed to live life the way that we're supposed to live life. Anytime that there's a time when I have to choose myself until I can trust other people to do it. Anytime that I'm going to walk in my God-given purpose, I can drop all of these burdens anytime I want to. And this is why it's important that we transition the style. It can all be dropped. We're relying on external forces to see. I don't care about being called four eyes because my vision is clearer when I'm wearing these. I don't care about being called baldy. I'm less hot when I have this hat on. I don't care about being called a square because it does not matter. People's opinions won't push you or pull you away from purpose unless you allow it to. I have to transition the style in which I process information. But we're chasing fads. We're chasing trends. We're chasing the things, and we have to begin to get out of this mindset. Put this in a point. Put this in a point. Fashion is just fabric. Style is fruitful. Fashion is just fabric. D-Slam, what's happening? Congratulations on the level up. Style is attractive. Style is attractive, and it's important. It's important that you use style for this reason. It's for the attraction of others. Why? Because you have a testimony to tell. Why? Because you've survived some things. Why? Because you've been through some things. You have some wisdom and some knowledge to share with somebody. And it's your responsibility because you've gained this information to attract them. Not chase them, but to attract them. What's the difference? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. When you're chasing them down, it seems like you seem like a Bible thumper. When you're chasing them down, you seem over aggressive. When you chase them down, it takes you out of breath, so you're not in a condition to present the information in a manner in which it's going to reach them. But if you're being the best version of yourself, if you're operating at your highest vibrational level, if you're operating in a method that is congruent with you pursuing purpose, if you are stylish, then people come up to you, girl, I like that dress. Where did you get that? You can tell them anywhere you want to, but you can't. You bought it from the thrifty for $5 prior to you going out there, but the way that you put it together was attractive. Bro, that's a nice t-shirt you got right there. Where'd you get that from? Well, I got this from da-da-da-da, this, that, and third. And now we've broken the ice, and now I can impart what it is that you actually came here for. Fashion is just fabric. But the way that I put it together makes it look so good. The way that I put it together actually attracts. Why? Because I'm operating in the fullness of me. You might be able to wear the same hoodie, but you're not going to put it together with this hat and these glasses. You might have the same color nose ring, but it's in a different nostril. You might love Starbucks cups the same way that I love Starbucks cups, but is what's in your cup and my cup the same? Probably not. Style. Step out by yourself. Style. You want to be able to attract, and I'm going to have to do a part two on this. Style inspires change. Style inspires change. So when I was a kid, I'm gonna tell a story, and then we're gonna cut this one right here today. When I was a kid, we have to do a spring cleaning every year. Okay. We have to do a spring cleaning every year. And, but my grandmother shopped at the same thrift store that my mom was giving the clothes to. Okay. Grandma shopped at the same thrift store that my mom got the clothes to. Yes. For those of y'all that have been rocking with me for a while, this is the same thrift store that I had where I took the toys back. Same store. Okay. It was in Pell City. So I didn't mind giving away clothes, right? Especially because clothes for me were just okay, cool. Like just give me a hoodie. Give me a t-shirt. Give me some sweatpants. Like it doesn't matter. Journey, what's up, love? Welcome in. Except for I would go to this store and I saw some friends in there, and they would pick out like some of the same thing, right? And I knew that this was mine, right? Because my brother had the ability to make clothes. He had the ability to design clothes. He could draw. He got some clothes paint, right? Like, and so like some of these shirts were like legit custom, right? Like they had a little, So I was giving away clothes. Okay, cool, whatever. But I would see, other people around the town with my clothes. But the way that they put it together was different. And it made me like the shirt again, to the point that I wanted the shirt again. So let me submit to you today that in addition to transitioning the style of the way that you process things, in addition to transitioning the manner in which you process things, transition the level of your gratitude to be grateful for what it is that you have. Or look at what you have right now and recognize that it quite simply might look better for somebody else. One of my favorite phrases of this generation is, I love that for you. It's true. Like if I had it, I could do a little something with it, but you know better. You know best. We have to begin to transition the style. Let me park right here today. I'm gonna park right here today. Y'all know what we're doing. Next week, transition the style part 2. We have literally a half a page of notes that we got to get to. Hey, Dub, what's up? Welcome in. Literally another page of notes that we have to get to, and we're gonna unpack it next week. Thank you for the team bracelets. Questions, comments, or concerns, put them in the chat.